Time to go home! Time to go home! 17 days into the convoy's presence here, increasingly frustrated residents taking matters into their own hands, blocking some trucks from joining the convoy protest.
We've got a problem with nobody wanting to make decisions, nobody wanting to come forward and actually act.
I've been at protests where people got kicked off of Parliament Hill for having a stick to have a placard on it, right?
If the police have a strategy, it sure as heck isn't obvious to us.
Welcome to Ottawa. Make yourself at home. Welcome to Ottawa. Stay as long as you want.
But on Parliament Hill, no one seems in a hurry to leave. Some set up a hot tub, others lit a fire. Police looked on but didn't intervene.
Not necessarily supportive, but they're all very friendly.
Just taking a look around, making sure everyone's being good.
Today, a new extraordinary step from Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson. He's come to an agreement with one of the convoy's leaders. She says she'll try to convince members of the convoy who are on residential streets to pack up and limit themselves strictly to Parliament Hill in exchange for a meeting with him.
There's been no promises given in terms of cancelling tickets or anything like that. They understand that they have been a real challenge to the people who live in residential Ottawa.
Along with residents, criticism of police performance is also coming from the federal government today on Rosemary Barton Live.
Why would enforcement not be happening right now?
It's somewhat inexplicable to me too, Rosemary. We need the police to do their job. But the laws are there, and we've heard that they require additional help, and we've got them the additional help.
But Ottawa says they still need more officers. They've set up a joint command centre with their provincial counterparts and the RCMP. There were few officers on the ground as these scenes unfolded this weekend. And many protesters defied the court injunction against blaring horns. The lawyer who obtained it warns that won't go unanswered.
Breaching a bylaw is one thing, you get a ticket, but once it's turned into a court order, a violation of that court order has serious consequences, fines or imprisonment. We've been contacted by hundreds of downtown citizens trying to provide assistance. So we've got a huge selection of videos, including those who have been in breach of the court order.
So, Rafi, the Ottawa Police receiving a lot of criticism here. What are they saying about this?
That they don't have the resources to do what they need to do, Ian. It's not lost on anyone that Parliament Hill was again a block party this weekend. 2 nights in a row, we've asked police for an update. They did not provide one. The mayor did tell us that forces were focused on residential areas given the lack of officers available. But for a federal cabinet minister to come out and say the lack of police action was inexplicable, former Toronto police chief, who's the cabinet minister now, well, that just suggests that there will be further questions ahead about the work of the police here. And another note tonight on that deal between the city and the city says a protest leader, well, that leader has come out and said there is no deal, certainly not the same tone the city is striking. So again, things are murky there in terms of how this will all go ahead, Ian.
Okay, Rafi, thank you.
You're welcome.
A lot still clearly happening in downtown Ottawa tonight. The Prime Minister chairing a last-minute cabinet meeting. Earlier, he met with the incident response group, and protesters are deciding whether to go along with the city's request to remove their trucks out of residential areas. We're joined by Ottawa's Mayor Jim Watson. And Mayor Watson, one thing I'm not clear on is what's in this for the protesters? Beyond the meeting, what do you think they expect to get?
Well, that's what they wanted. They wanted a meeting. I told them I was very clear. I have no jurisdiction over mandates. But if it gives some relief to the people in Centretown and Lower Town and the Byward Market, then we should proceed with it in good faith. If they've failed to live up to the expectation, then that's it. We try. But the reality is, Ian, no one lives on Wellington Street. There's no apartments, no residential communities. But 10 to 15,000 people live in Centretown and other neighborhoods. The politicians and the truckers are not suffering over the last 3 weeks. It's the people in those residential communities. As mayor of Ottawa, that's my number one preoccupation, to try to find some way to bring some peace and stability to that neighborhood. It's not going to be perfect. This group does not speak for every trucker. There'll be splinter groups and so on. But if we can get a good portion of those vehicles out of that residential neighborhood, I'll consider that good news for the residents who put up with too much.
Mayor Watson, we were seeing counter protests, people kind of taking things into their own hands. Did that put any more pressure on you to try to reach this deal?
Well, I admire the gutsiness of the people who are standing up to those that want to break the law in our city, but it does take scarce police resources away from those central communities that need that coverage and protection. And the police advise not getting in confrontation, because some of these individuals who are coming here to do harm and damage to our city could do harm to those citizens. So the best advice is let the police do their job. We need more resources. We put that in writing to the federal and provincial government in order to bring some stability back to our city. But I wanted to first and foremost get some kind of relief for those people in the central residential neighborhoods.
All right, Mayor Watson, thank you very much for making the time.
Thank you for asking.